All right, YouTube, these next few videos are going to be about just different types of societies. Since what's going on in the world right now is so insane, we have to address things. You know, social media has really just driven things crazy, honestly. And it just seems like a kind of thing where it's functionally useful, so we're probably never going to be rid of it. A lot of the things that we have that are functionally useful that we build end up becoming dual purpose problems. So we have to deal with the bad side of them too. And social media seems like kind of like the apex, other than nuclear weapons, it's the apex of those types of inventions. It seems like what was once marginalized, basically exclusionary philosophies that focus on, hyper individualism. Those kinds of things have to be marginalized because we don't live in worlds that are by ourselves. We don't live in our own world. Solipsism is not a real thing, in any real way. I mean, there could be some multiverse reality where each one of us have our own universe, but ultimately, when I look out there in the world, I see that I have other people that I have to deal with, and they have to deal with me in physical reality. So we have to deal with those kinds of realities. We can't just pretend like they don't exist and then try to force everybody into our own universe. That being said, there's a social contract to maintain. If they don't agree to allow me to exist, then there's conflict because of them. And when I have to do something to answer that unfair regulation of my life by the other trying to make the universe into their own thing, it's a reaction. I'm not becoming like them. I'm reacting to what they're doing. So intent is everything. You can't cause a problem and then pretend like the person reacting to it is causing the problem, okay? Whether you're affirming the problem or you're reacting to it is everything if we talk about ethics, okay? So we have to pay attention to that kind of thing. We kind of know that whatever government system we put in place, the people have to participate in it. No system's going to survive absolute control of the people. And the reason why is because even if you put in a system like the techno-feudalists are trying to do, where it's absolute control by force over people, things are going to happen. There's going to be dissent in the ranks. There's going to be natural disasters, things where the majority break loose and take over again. So these kinds of notions can only survive for a short time, because ultimately there's something's going to happen, and the people themselves who need to participate in the system that they're part of will break loose and eat the rich, will eat the power and control. The only way to survive, let's say, natural disasters or dissent in the ranks is to address it with the system. And that's how a system survives natural disasters or dissent in the ranks. It survives by being able to address it and change as it goes. That's how you build a lasting system. The rich are never going to have their pipe dream of throwing millions and billions of people into a pot and just holding them there while they take all the best parts of it. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Even if you build a system like that, it appears like the people are participating, and you try to use disinformation, misinformation, and lies to paint the picture that the people are participating when they really aren't. They're gonna know, okay? The people are gonna know, because you can't keep that kind of a secret. I mean, you have to be transparent so that people can see the changes happen. That's the whole point of a system in which people participate in. It has to be transparent, okay? I've been trying to build a fully automated pure democracy. I'm building one at civilsimian.com. I'm using AI, and I'm going to try to build an automated system in some way. This is probably like my 10th iteration of this concept over the last 15 years. But civilsimian.com, that's going to be linked up with this channel, and eventually I'll be doing videos about building a government system, an automated system that gives the people the most voting power possible. There's an intolerable feeling of alienation that manifests in the masses when they don't participate in any meaningful way in the systems that they live for or under. Everybody knows a lie when they hear it, pretty much. I mean, sometimes you can't detect them, but the effects will show up later. Today, as information flow is magnified exponentially, misinformation and disinformation are playing a larger role in controlling people's opinions. No matter what form society takes, it's not likely to take any form that the people don't participate in. Totalitarian ideals can't last because when the people are tired and they're willing to risk their lives for freedom, their numbers will outweigh the few in any universe or any place where governing millions upon billions of life forms is necessary. Maybe this is idealistic. Maybe there can be a brutally perfect system that operates like a prison that can't be escaped. I think even in situations like that, there's a threat of natural disasters and infighting opportunities that can't be completely controlled. The best forms of government will have systems to prevent tyranny and weather unforeseen circumstances, as well as maintain involvement of the citizens in a transparent manner. It's interesting because there's a deterministic universality inherent in human evolution. The same ethical questions come up again and again, and there's repeatable consequences of making certain choices happen again and again. Because of this, we can know what and why certain attitudes and choices are productive or good, and others are destructive and evil. We know because of this basic principle that human destruction or suffering is bad and human flourishing is good. The measure of a man is a man, especially when you're talking about ethics. A lot of people will try to confuse the issue with short-term and long-term thinking. There's kind of this problem with people saying, well, that might be fine now, but in the long term, we'll have this problem X. The way you guys think never answers the long-term problem with problem X. And basically, that's injecting relativism into the situation because we know the longer we look outwards in time, the less evidence we have that certain complex issues will remain under the control of inductive reasoning, right? The further out you go, the less grounding you have to prove things. Therefore, the appeal to relativism becomes more of an issue the further out you look. So this leverage mechanism of, well, that might look fine now and people might believe that, but in the long term, really, this is what's going to happen. Therefore, that justifies my, Machiavellian process in the present. The ends justified in the means, and the ends are too far away to really put any evidence towards. So that's all convenient for me in the moment and appealing to relativism or unprovable idealism. Using this leverage method injects relativism and confusion to present unjust rationalizations as productive, even though historical evidence may show otherwise. Disingenuous bad faith argumentation can't be allowed under the banner of universality. Nothing is more important than truth with evidence that accurately represents what is observed. I was going to do a long video about all the different society types, but I'm going to break it up into multiple videos. This society versus that society, and to keep the time consistent with other videos and the drop off too of the viewer percentages. Today I'm going to define what an organic society is and what a mechanistic society is, and just talk generally about what's going on in the world. Organic society. An organic society is a philosophical and sociological concept that views society as a living organism where individuals and institutions function as interdependent parts of a whole. Unlike mechanistic societies, which rely on rigid rules and contracts, an organic society evolves naturally, emphasizing hierarchy, tradition, and social cohesion. In an organic society, institutions like family, religion, and government serve specialized functions, much like the organs in a body. Social bonds are based on shared values, customs, and mutual obligations, rather than a purely individual interest. This contrasts with modern industrial societies, which prioritize efficiency and individualism. While often associated with conservatism and traditionalism, the organic model also appears in discussions about sustainability, community-driven economies, and critiques of hyper-individualism in contemporary culture. So when I think about this, I do think about the interplay between the individual and the group. From what I've seen, it's problematic when there's no checks against cultural conformity insistence. It really does stifle individual expression while also stifling innovation. Also, the insistence on cultural conformity harbors dark tendencies of exclusion to maintain that identity. It's necessary to lean into exclusion of the other to preserve the group identity. Therefore, cultures that develop this way may not be good to transplant into other societies that balance between individualism or that are radically individual. But I have to say to myself, though, societies that are radically individualistic really aren't good for anybody, including the individuals themselves. Mechanistic society. A mechanistic society is a social structure that functions like a machine, where individuals and institutions operate as interchangeable parts governed by rules, contracts, and efficiency. Unlike an organic society, which evolves naturally and emphasizes interdependence, a mechanistic society prioritizes rational organization, bureaucracy, and standardized processes. In a mechanistic society, relationships are often transactional, with people acting based on self-interests rather than communal bonds. Governments, corporations, and institutions function through formal procedures rather than inherited customs. This model underpins modern industrialized societies where technology, capitalism, and bureaucratic efficiency shape social interactions. While mechanistic societies offer stability, predictability, and personal freedoms, critics argue they can lead to alienation, loss of community, and excessive regulation that reduces human spontaneity and creativity. So there's definitely some interplay and back and forth between organic societies and mechanistic societies. In my mind, we should be mechanistic around laws, and they should definitely be procedural and as precise as possible, and we should be, organic around the arts and the humanities, right? And the laws should rally around universal human rights, and the organic part of society should rally around entertainment and discovering new aesthetics and things like that don't lead to people's death. Organically, we should be driving the particulars of society, and mechanistically and procedurally, we should be driving the universal human rights of the individual and using law enforcement as a threat of force rather than a use of force to support the universal laws of society, the social contract. So it's interesting. There's a lot of interplay here. Capitalism as the answer for everything is ethically corrupt. Capitalism and competition can't be the answer for the needs of humanity. That goes against ethics in everything that it is. It just can't be that way. Capitalism and free market is a good answer for things that humans don't need. Okay? And we should draw a dividing line, and we should separate needs from wants. We should develop AI and robots for the needs. We should drive down the labor cost and the labor altogether for the things that we need first for the entire world. Okay? 50% of the world lives on less than 10K a year. We need to create a safety net driven by robots and AI that produces the needs for the entire world. And then we can have capitalism for all the frivolous things we don't really need that we want, like big screen TVs. And that would be the ethical way to break down the market. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, nobody stomachs this stuff worse than I do. Just every day I go to work in a sick system, a disgustingly sick system. And I ask myself, what would it be to be a winner in this sick system? What could I ever be proud of as being a winner in this system? It just turns my stomach going to work every day. Anybody that's out there that's proud of being a winner in the system that we see today isn't aware that being a winner in a bad system is being a bad winner. I mean, just don't be so proud of it. I don't care how much money you have or what you've done. I guess if you've made a lot of money and you've tried to fix the problems for the poor, yeah, of course, but people that just hoard their wealth, man. Anyways, if you guys like this kind of philosophical subject matter, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel.